Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to Hendu's show. We're so excited that you're here. All right, guys, tonight, how you doing? Tonight we're going to review the PBS election night. What a bunch of goof-offs. I mean, here you are. You have a group that's basically supported by the American people. The American tax peoples give this broadcast company money. And they just simply say, all we want is the truth. Just show us the facts. Don't skew them left, don't skew them right. Just present the facts to us, and then we can make up our own mind. I mean, we're grown adults. We can figure it out. But for some reason, they just decided that they're just going to be far leftists. I mean, they even state that they're far leftists. I mean, they basically say they're all deranged Trump haters. That's not what we want. That might be what they want, but it's not what we want. And it's really it's the perfect reason why the American citizen does not trust media anymore. They don't trust ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, MSNBC, and they barely trust Fox. Now you say, well, how can you say that? How can they say Fox? Well, Fox is a little bit left and a little bit right. Yeah, they probably are a little bit more right-leaning. But it's close enough everybody can figure it out. In fact, we can even figure out these commies. This is really what they are. Oh, they try to act like proud Americans. Communists are people that just feed you a bunch of incorrect facts all the time. It's propaganda. Well, even our CIA does that, but they've turned into commies too. The American people just want the facts, and we will figure it out. So let's see how it goes here.
Of course, there's always the potential for challenges to the voting tallies.
But before a reminder, we are reporting results from the Associated Press, and they will call a race when their analysis shows it is mathematically impossible for the trailing candidate to overtake the leading candidate once all of the votes are counted.
Harris's campaign is feeling really good tonight, Jeff. They've been sharing some of the statistics that they think shows that Harris could very well be on the pathway to 270.
Well, there's another pro-Harris thing.
Specifically, they said that there is high Puerto Rican turnout in Philadelphia. That's what some of the campaign sources highlighted, and they think that that bodes well for them because of the fact that Donald Trump ended the last few weeks with that racist and sexist Madison Square Garden rally where the comedian made the racist joke about Puerto Ricans. So they believe that high turnout amongst Puerto Ricans could very well help Harris in a city like Philadelphia. They also pointed to high student college turnout.
Simply hired to go out and do it. The second concern that's been raised about this relationship is that Elon Musk has been, similar to Donald Trump, putting out some of the most debunked and repeated false allegations about voter fraud and cheating in this election. And there's all this ongoing question as to whether or not Donald Trump, if, let's say, this does not go for him tonight or in the days coming.
This is the way it keeps going. I mean, all night long is negative, negative, negative Trump, pro Harris.
Whether or not he will concede the election, if it is fair. And Trump was asked this when he went to vote today in West Palm Beach and said, yes, if it's fair, I will. But in the hours since, he has continued to promote baseless claims that there is cheating in the swing states, particularly in Philadelphia and Pennsylvania. And having Elon Musk sitting next to him, who has been parroting those same claims on the enormous social media platform that he owns, X, makes a lot of people wonder whether or not Trump will in fact honor the outcome of this election. So it's a legitimate ongoing question that people are genuinely concerned about.
Will Trump honor the results? Yeah, if they're not cheated on, if they just don't have the ballot printers going brrr. That's all they did was they just kept running those ballots last time. Yeah. They just said, okay, how many votes we need? Let's print a few more.
And William, we saw even Republican officials in Pennsylvania having to come out to debunk some of that information. Former President Trump was talking about secretaries of state in a number of battlegrounds having to work to counter some of that misinformation already. But you probably heard Laura reporting earlier on some of what she's hearing from Harris campaign sources about North Carolina and Georgia in particular, two states we think could give us some kind of early indication of which way this night is going. If former President Trump loses both of those, his path to 270 becomes much more difficult. Have you
he can't do it.
heard anything from campaign sources or anyone in Trump's team about how they're feeling about those two states?
The word that they are putting out is that they are confident. But so far, the campaign is bullish and confident that those things.
And what I'm talking about here tonight is not really the election. It's just the media representation of election night. I mean, they're all like this, and they were all. Not only did Kamala Harris get her hat handed to her, but all the media in this country got their hat handed to them too.
Things are going their way tonight.
After the Puerto Rican island of garbage, whatever joke at the Madison Square Garden that we heard,
Well, Trump negative.
it mobilized. And from what we're hearing initially, I think we'll find that Allentown, Reading, which significant Puerto Rican populations, found that there was higher turnout than expected among those populations. When you move down,
those were people who are open. And to the atmosphere of violence, we need to recognize that this atmosphere of violence that we are contending with is because one of the two candidates for president throughout his entire campaign has invoked violent rhetoric right up until the last couple of days. And so
I wonder which candidate he's talking about, especially since he said his candidacy.
We are here because a person who used to be president of the United States and should know better and should be about bringing us together has decided not to do that aggressively.
No,
Let's shift
he's a
it's
hater.
counted. But in the order that they're counted, it could give an impression that one side is doing better than the other.
Yes, although I don't think we're going to have that to the degree we did in
Democratic men
2020
look so
because
limpy.
obviously it was a pandemic and so many people turned in their ballots by mail. And in many states that
all the
really don't have
women
a
look
history
butch.
of vote by
I don't
mail,
know.
and Pennsylvania is a perfect example of this. This was a whole new experience for them to try to count all of those ballots. And what we knew, because Donald Trump then in 2020 was saying things like, we need to not vote by mail because it's rigged. So his voters came to the polls.
Negative Trump.
Democrats voted by mail. And so there was a mirage. The election day vote got counted early. So you saw this red. And then as the ballots were counted that were mailed in,
As they
it
were
became
printed.
less red. That is
more
not
ballots, we need 'em.
expected this time around. I think
got
we're
you,
going
Joe.
to be able to see. We do have to pay very close attention, though, to when they talk about, 65% of the vote is in or 72% of the vote is in. And anybody
Seems to be urging former President Trump to not come out early and
Yes.
make any kind of premature declaration.
Yes, I think Republicans were burned, felt burned, some of them, by more than burned by what happened in 2020. And we know there's been a huge division in the Republican Party with most
Negative
official, most elected Republicans sticking with the former president. But I don't think that means that they are comfortable with, certainly with what happened on January the 6th.
Negative
And I don't
Trump.
think
January 6th. What a bunch of malarkey. That was just a bunch of propaganda, just made up crap. That's my point of view.
any of them want to see a repeat of that.
I know. Oh, we used to talk so much about Florida. Remember those days?
Once upon a time.
Right, but there are some interesting counties here, and we are getting some results in. 76% actually of the expected vote in now from Florida. And one place I want to look is Osceola County. This is one of 3 majority Hispanic
Harris is
counties
ahead.
in the state of Florida. It's an important place for Democrats, and also largely a Puerto Rican community. You heard Laura talk about.
them
You guys
Puerto
have
Ricans
talked about
again.
that as
Puerto
well.
Ricans.
Let's show how this compares to what's gone.
And Puerto Ricans didn't give a shit about that joke. I mean, Trump wasn't even there, and most Puerto Ricans would agree with him.
On in the past, we've got Harris right now with 76% of the expected vote in this county, up by just 1 point. That is definitely a decrease.
Harris is ahead. She's going to win. There's no way Trump can make a comeback.
Increase from what Biden got in this county and Clinton. Now, there's still 24% of the vote left, but in this heavily Puerto Rican county, this is probably a disappointment at this point. Again, we still have more results to come in from Florida. Let's look at
that the country was on the wrong track. A lot of people, they were also afraid about the threats to democracy. And we cannot discount the...
You got to love these Democrats. I mean, the threat to democracy. Then a damn thing they did the whole campaign that was Democratic. No democracy about it. They didn't elect her. They didn't. Nobody, no Americans voted for her. Yet they said, let's put old Kamala Harris in there. So it was like a just regime change, little propaganda there. They just propped her up and said, hey, this is the girl we need. But anyways. But the democracy, they're always talking about democracy. I think they call that projecting. Is when someone does something themselves and they don't like it, but they want other people to think someone else is doing it, they just keep projecting. I mean, the Democratic Party is about the least democratic group I've seen.
The role that is playing in the people's thinking, and also reproductive freedom. And so you put those two...
There you go, reproductive freedoms. Look, the abortion battle is an important battle. But they've been going at it for 50 years. For 50 years, one side's been going at it, and the other side's been going at it. And just loggerheads at each other. And after 50 years, they're no closer than they were then. One side's pro-life, one side's pro-choice. And for them to say, oh, all of a sudden, everybody's going to vote for Kamala because she's a lady just about the abortion issue. I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, there's a lot of Republican women, too. They just, you know, they don't want children aborted all the way up to the 9th month. It's like, okay, if you're going to allow abortion, you have to have some rules and regulations. You have to have some, you know, parameters set up. You know, maybe when there's a heartbeat, you know, something like that. But it's just, you can't just let it run wild. These people, I'm certain there's some Democrats that would do a selection when they got up to middle school. Well, maybe we don't want that one. Let's just cull her out. Let's just cull him out. I mean, why not? If you're going to kill them when they're 9 months old as they're coming out of the birth canal, why not wait 4 or 5 years? Get you a nice choice. You know, maybe like the blondes, maybe like the redheads. If you don't, cull them out.
Together, and I'll be interested to see if those two issues swamp the sort of dyspepsia in the country about we're on the wrong track. And maybe people think we're on the wrong track because reproductive freedom is in jeopardy and the threats to democracy.
Yeah, and Harris is 35. Back to you, John.
And John, in the meantime, I understand Donald Trump has been making unsubstantiated claims of voter fraud in and around Philadelphia. Bring us up to speed and give us a fact check.
He went on social media earlier this afternoon, said that there was massive fraud or massive cheating, is his words, going on in Philadelphia, and that law enforcement was on the way. It's a lot of ballots are going to be coming in late, and that could delay things even more. There is some confidence in this state that they can get all the mail-in ballots counted by midnight, which would be a big step forward from 2020. But then the in-person vote has to be counted.
Very quickly, because that was really important. Think about how Trump closed this, because it was awful. I mean, those last 10 days, not only that Madison Square Garden event, which got its own, but then the enemy within. We got the shooting of journalists or whatever the heck he was talking about. Women, you know, whether they like it or not, votes are rigged. You had all kinds of nonsense of antics around Arnold Palmer and microphones and all kinds of stuff that was such, it affirmed for a lot of people, this is not what we want in office. And I think it was just an awful close for him because, as Kevin says, in a normal environment, point that we were talking about in an earlier panel about the economy. You would have just focused on an economic contrast. You talk about your vision and feeling good about whatever Trump felt about his economy. And he could do none of that. And he had lack of discipline, and I do think it hurt him in a big way.
Yeah, and that's what
I'm really interested in this question about how much voters are affected by the kind of language that he uses and these late in.
I don't give a crap what kind of language Trump uses. I mean, most of the time he's just trying to jerk their chain anyways. And, you know, I'd much rather have a guy that tells me the truth and uses whatever language he wants to tell me the truth than someone being nice and kind and lying their ass off to me, which is what the Democrats do.
In the campaign, and even earlier in the campaign, frankly, harsh rhetoric, ugly language. I don't know if the exit polls, you all are more familiar. Amy, I'm looking at you. Are they going to tell us anything about whether that turn some people off? Because as I travel the country and talk to people, so many people who are voting for Trump saying they plan to vote for him, I'd ask them, well, what do you think about what he says about X and Y? And they would say, well, that's the way he talks. I still like the way he handled the economy, or I like what he's doing about immigration.
Bingo.
So I'm really interested in getting inside people's decision-making on that.
Yeah.
And that's something we'll learn.
That Madison Square Garden rally, though,
Well,
to
that
use
guy's
your
a
phrase,
nut.
really did get liberals mad. And it's interesting because we're living in this universe where
They're really caught up on this Madison Square Garden thing. You know why, don't you? Because it was a kick-ass convention, meeting, or whatever you want to call it, rally. I mean, it was a love fest. They did a great job with that. I don't even hold anything against the comedian that made the Puerto Rican joke. I mean, hell, you hire a comedian. That's what are you going to get? Stupid-ass jokes. But anyways, it must have been a great rally because it really pissed the Democrats off.
the competition for attention is so fierce, and people's perceptions of these candidates, more so with Donald Trump, is so calcified that it's hard for really anything to break through. But what that insult comic said about Puerto Rico,
this guy here, he's a real winner.
Really broke through, Jonathan. And we'll see if the degree of the blowback tonight. But why do you think that resonated when, you know, John Kelly saying that Donald Trump fits the textbook definition of a fascist, you could say didn't resonate in the same way?
It didn't resonate in the same way, but I do think it resonated. Look, that Madison Square Garden rally was just a hate fest from beginning.
Ooh, a hate fest. This guy's a real winner, isn't he? As the night goes on, he reveals himself pretty well. But, well, it was a great rally. That's why they hated it so much.
To end. And the fact that you had this comic there to say these jokes that were racist, xenophobic.
You know, one of the things, for every minute they spent talking about dumb crap like this was a minute that they took away from points they could have really got across to the American people. You think about it, you know, you got ideas you want to sell. She's for border protection. She's for gun control. She's not for gun control. She's not for border protection, whatever it is. The meat and potatoes. But she didn't want to have any meat and potatoes about her campaign. Nada, nothing. It was just smoke and mirrors. It was all joy.
A sexist, and that's the beginning of the night.
Misogynist.
And then it just kept going in that tone for the rest of the night, including from the headliner of the evening, Donald Trump. And for that to be part of the closing message, and I'm with Judy, I would like to know how much this language impacts the way people are going into the voting booth and impacts the way they're thinking about who they want to lead them. I mean, I think that's also why this election is such a stark contrast.
Who we want to lead them. Now think about it. Would you rather have Trump, Kamala Harris, or Biden? Well, Kamala Harris, this is kind of looking at after the election results. She just turned into a drunk. They got all drunk and did some kind of "you can be a winner" speech. Then you've got Biden, he's disappeared, other than giving his son Biden a pardon and a bunch of other murderers and convicts pardons. pretty much just been on the beach. And then he is trying to screw the American people every against his chance, but every chance he gets. But that's just Biden. Trump's been kicking their ass ever since he got elected or voted for. I mean, he's done more. He's actually been the president since election night.
Do you want someone who is saying, I'm here for everybody, I want us to work together, or someone who says, there are all these problems and everything's going to hell?
Well, this guy's going to just keep going about the same crap. We'll make some more parts of this. But anyways, thank you so much for joining us. You'll probably hear it here in a second in the close, but please subscribe. We'd like to get our subscribers up. And, you know, if you have a comment, if you agree with me or don't agree with me, please put it in the comment section. But until then, until January 20th, see you.